Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now you hear me say all the time, collect what you like. There is no right or wrong way on how to collect. You can choose to save anything that you like. The key point though is don't pay ridiculous amounts of money for stuff that has no value outside of what you think it has. The reason that things would not have a value is because they are easy to find. So, rather than paying money to have someone else find it for you, look for it yourself. You see me go through 1,000 notes every week. That may be more than you can do, but the point is, even if you only look through 100, if you only find 3 or 4 notes that are keepers, you still have $97 that you can take back to the bank. Add $3 to that, and now you can go and get another strap. Even though I'm searching 1,000 a week, it does not cost me $1,000 a week to do that. That's one way to get into the long run of searching notes. You can search a lot of notes. If you're saving everything, well, then there's a problem. You're gonna find for yourself how common certain things are, especially if you start searching in quantity. Remember, the amount of notes you're looking through isn't the amount of notes you're keeping. When you start to realize you're accumulating a lot of a certain type, well, that's when you understand that there should be no additional value. With that being said, that doesn't mean you shouldn't save what you like. You just shouldn't pay extra for it. There is a number of ways that I save, but because I'm only paying for face value, if I ever decide to get rid of all of those, they're still worth what I have in them. They're still worth face value. I didn't lose anything. So yeah, you can collect any type you like. Just don't pay extra money for it. I'm going to end up showing something that a lot of people have been asking about later on in this video. And of course, I got them all for face value. That's what makes it fun. This is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. All right, I got my 1,000 in singles. This is part 2 of my Vegas straps. These came from, let's see what we got here. A lot of these came from downtown or the less extravagant places, the cheaper places. This was from the Golden Nugget, the California, the Plaza, El Cortez, the Grand. Then I had some of the cheaper casinos on the Strip. I had the Luxor, Flamingo, the Link, and Arizona Charlie's way out in the boonies. And I also have one strap in here that came from US Bank. All right, so this was what I was expecting to be the best group. And, well, I was kind of disappointed. Like I said, on this particular Vegas trip, a lot of banks knew there was going to be a lot of people in town, so there was a lot of ordering of money, and I didn't find as much as I was expecting. But let's take a look at what I found anyway. Starting off, I've got a trinary, 3s, 5s, and 6s. No additional value. Here's 5s, 6s, and 8s, crisp. 2s, 6s, and 8s. 0s, 8s, and 9s. 0s, 4s, and 5s. This one is quads. Quad 0s, also no additional value. Quad 1s. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just 4 5s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 5s. And I got some star notes. 2021 star note here, the last year for star notes. Always check to see if they are filled. Here's a 2017 A star, 2017 star, 2013 star, and another 2013, not one of the New York notes. Here's a 2003A. This gets to the older notes. I save notes that are 20 years and older. Starting next year, I'll be saving the 2006s. But here you can see 2003A, really rough shape on that one. This one's a little bit better for a 2003A. 2001, you don't see very many of. I found 2 of them here. 1995, not a web note. Another 95, good shape. Another 95, also in good shape. Another one here. And a 1981 in nice shape. 1977, still crisp. and another 77, oldest note I found, also still crisp. So those were two lucky finds out of there. And that's what I found on the Vegas trip. Let's see what I wrote down in my notes. One of the 77s both came from the Flamingo, and the 81 came from El Cortez. So yeah, you still can find older notes on the strip. Let me reset my camera so I can show you what I'm bringing out this week. All right, this is my big book, and so many of you hear me talk about it all the time, and you're like, show us the big book, show us the big book. And to me, it's very boring to see this, but everybody keeps asking, so I figured, why not? Let's do it. This is just a standard 3-ring binder. What is that, 2.5 inches? I did not buy any special pages. I didn't look for anything particular, so any pages you can find are as good as the pages I have. A lot of people have the debate over PVC. I don't worry about PVC. The stuff that I've got in here, it's not worth anything that I'd be concerned about that. So I really don't care about the PVC argument. My argument on PVC is always, if you have a note that's special, you're probably going to get it graded at some point anyway. You're not going to leave it sitting anything for 50 years out in the sun, letting the stuff bleach into it. So that's how I feel about PVC. So yeah, this is just a standard 3-ring binder, and that's it. There's the notes. Now, how do I have this organized? These are all 2021s, and these particular ones are from Fort Worth. I can probably zoom in a little bit on this just so you can see some of the stuff. Well, I don't want to. It's not important that you see it. I guess it's more important that you hear it. But 2021, my first group are Fort Worth. I start with all the Federal Reserves, A, B, C, D. Got them all front and back, E, F, G. I'm missing the H, I, J, K, L. And then I go into the Washington from 2021. There are no A, B, C, and D, or E, F. I have the G, H, and the I, J from Washington. Then as I continue, 2017 A, the Fort Worth notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. Then the Washington 2017 A's, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I'm missing a couple of those, but I'm not sure that they were available because I do this for fun. That's the thing. I try to save one of everything that I find, and I have not tried to narrow down the list. I know there's places that I can go to check to see which blocks are available and which Federal Reserves put out money. But I'm not a diehard cruncher into those numbers. I simply pull out one from each that I find, and I leave spaces just in case I'm wrong, because like here's G, there is no H. I, J, K, L. If I ever stumble across one, I've got a place for it, but I don't think they made those. Then we start with 2017, no ABC, there's a D. All of these are Fort Worth. And as I continue, make it to L. Now my Fort Worth page transfers back to the Washington page for 2017. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. There's only one of those. And I can continue. Here's 2013, also starting with Fort Worth. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. 2013, I knew there was no 2013D, so I just put a little mark in there so I don't try to find that. Somewhere around here, I do have a piece of paper that lists what I'm missing. But like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to fill my book. I'm finding all these out of circulation. So, no, if you've got one of these and you're like, hey, I'll trade you this for that. No, that's not what it's about for me. It's not about completing the set. It's about finding them in circulation. So there's a huge difference there. If I really wanted to complete the set, I'm sure I could go to shows and scan eBay and try to find all kinds of stuff for the one or two reserves that I'm missing throughout each year and stuff like that. But that's not the point. The point is to find them all in circulation. For me, that's why I do this. To be able to put together an entire set found in circulation, that's what's important. Now, some of you may go further than me because, as you see, I do Fort Worth and Washington, both bureaus that print. Some of you may try to put together every single actual block from each reserve. I have not gone to that extreme. That would be a much, much thicker book. And this is already pretty thick anyway. So yeah, there's 2013s. These are from Washington. Once again, no 2013 G or H, so I know I don't need those. No 2013 IJKL. I thought about just taking the page out, but then I figured it's better to constantly remind myself that no, there is a blank spot here. You're not going to find them. Here's 2009. Once again, same thing. First, I've got the Fort Worth. Then I've got, starting here, the Washington branches. No 2009 G or H, no JK or L. 2006, from Fort Worth, ABCD, EFGH, IJKL. 2006, Washington, ABCD, EF, there's no G or H, no IJK or L. We can continue. This is 2013 A from Fort Worth, and there are no ABCDs. I know that because I put the cheat sheet there. There's no E, but I've got FGH, IJKL. After that, we've got the 2003 from Washington. And once again, all my cheats in there, so I know what I have, what I don't have. And then we go to 2003, rather than the 2003A. These are the Fort Worth. 2003A from Washington. Then we go to 2001 Fort Worth, no ABCD, no E. Then I've got FGH. And as I'm going through these, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. But when I do my searches, and then I do my box, when my box is filled, I pull out all the old notes. I take the best of each one from each reserve, and then I compare it to what I've got in here. And if I can upgrade it, great. If I can't, well, then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to keep that secondary note or not. Some of those I keep. The ones that are in rough shape will go back in circulation. I tend to keep most of the notes that are from 1995 or maybe 1993 and older. I'll keep most of those. So again, 2001, these are from Washington. 2001, once again, one that's not available. And then sometimes I didn't do it all the time for those. 1999 Fort Worth, no ABCD. They start with F, so I've got those all the way to L. 99 once again, this time from Washington, got all those. There was no GH, IJK, or L. 1995 Fort Worth starts with D. There was no E. Take the rest of them to L. 1995 from Washington. Just keeping it going. 1993 Fort Worth. 1993 Washington. 1988A Fort Worth. 1988A Washington. And then we get to the 1988 series. And these were the 88A series, I believe, was the first one to do Fort Worth. So from 88 on back, they're all done in Washington, so I no longer have to double up on any of those. Here is it's the end of 88, the start of 1985. Let's see, that's the end of 85. Then we go 1981A and 1981. And here is 1977A, 1977, 1974, 1969D, 1969C. They didn't make a lot of those. I've got a handful. 1969B. 1969A, 1969, 1963B. I do have the full set. I may have, I don't think I bought the full set, but I've got some that are better than others. So there was no A, no C, no D, no F, no H, no I, no K. So I've got the full set of the bar notes. Then there's the 63As, missing the A, missing the H, missing those. And then the 1963s. Now these are the only ones that I bought as a full set. So I do have these in really nice shape. 63, the entire set, which was the first year for the small size notes. And then I just keep my extra pages here in the back so that when a new series comes out, I can just move them from the back to the front and continue on. So yeah, that is what I've got as far as my big book goes. Everybody wants to see it, and like I said, to me it just doesn't seem that exciting, but it is kind of neat to see all the different Federal Reserves and all the different years together like that. I do have some holes in here, I know, and that's why I keep looking for the old notes, trying to fill it, and I keep doing my checks every time my box is full. So that's what I've got for you guys this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.